try Diddy, I will link the link in the description after the fact, of course. But you should absolutely go check it out. It's really cool. And it's also cool, kind of, how the the narrative is coming out. Diddy is just a small piece, but there's still so much focus on him. And then you hear all this stuff about gay stuff. And I really who did I see this guy today? Robin Martyr or something like that. This black dude did this video, talking about Diddy and talking about the homosexual aspect of the industry and certain things. But it's still, they're still working it against us. We still think they still have that wedge between gay and straight. People thinking that anything that has to do with the Diddy stuff, with the music, it's gay. It's not gay. They might do homosexual things to the people, but it has nothing to do with being gay. And that's the issue. I this Robin whatever's dude, the Martyr guy, I don't know his fucking name. I think it was Robin Martyr, but I could be wrong. But he was saying shit like, the LGBTQ narrative, or the LGBTQ groups have hypersexualized everything and hypersexualized the music industry and it's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? The music industry has sexualized children the entire time. It has nothing to do with whose nose ring is that? What the fuck are you talking about? It has nothing to do with that. Tupac is as gay as it gets. Tupac was a gay man, but it has nothing to do with that. The sad part is, imagine the changes Tupac could have made if he would have just come out of the closet and stood up for gay rights. He could have really done amazing things for the community. But he instead, played the thug. Like, Tupac is the reason for the thug life. He probably would have died even younger. Don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But Tupac, they use these homosexual actors to portray the most macho man type person. And it's great. Most of those gangsters are gay, especially the ones that have been in prison. There's so much of that DL, but it all has to do with Christianity and the brainwashing of people. I can't stand when I see black people as Christians. It's just so irritating. It's so ignorant, so foolish, so brainwashed. If anybody shouldn't be Christian, it's black people. But you see these, black people have been made to be so embarrassingly stupid. I hate it. As a POC myself, I just fucking hate it. I hate when I see black people doing just about anything. Because it's never like it's like good, family man, well spoken, educated, this, that, and the other. It's always, the black person that's presented to us is always the worst of the worst. Even like what the fuck is Alex Rose, the fat black guy. What's his name? I don't know. They sometimes do catches together. And he's so stupid. And you can tell multiple times that Alex is just thinking, God, I wish this fucker would shut up. It's so, I don't know. I just hate it. I really do hate what's been done to black people. What it means to be black. Like saying words incorrectly is part of what it is to be black. I fucking hate it. Showing off your money. You have to show off the money you have. An argument that you'll hear all the time is, I got money in my pocket. How about you, dog? I saw this thing where 6ix9ine was talking about a guy he knew got robbed. The reason why 6ix9ine has security, my kid was looking up 6ix9ine last night. Speaking of which, like the morning, Matt, 6ix9ine was saying he had security because another rapper he knew was walking around with $50,000 in a duffel bag and got. Like, why would anybody walk around with $50,000 in a duffel bag? Just so you can show off to other people? That's why you wear diamonds and shit like that. Why do you think Eminem doesn't wear diamonds and shit? Because he's good enough not to. 6ix9ine has every diamond, all the tattoos, all the everything, because he's not good. It's that simple. You're compensating for your lack of skill. And last night I asked my kid, like, so what is Travis Scott's biggest song? And like, without a doubt, he was like, Fiend. Fiend is Travis Scott's biggest song. Have you heard that fucking song? It's terrible. I mean, it's you can't understand a lot of what he says. What you can understand is stupid nonsense. But this idea that, like, he had to play his song 10 times in a row because the people just kept chanting for it to... What? What are they hearing that I'm not hearing? I'm not even one of those, like, oh, it's old music, gotta be better, blah. Like, if it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter what it is. Check it out. I just got the Brand Van 3000 CD. This one's from 2001. I have the other one, the blue one, the one with Drinking in LA on it. And I just got it yesterday, and I popped it into the radio on my way to drop the kids off, and I don't know any songs from it. It's fucking great. It's great. I only got like 3 songs in, but the CD's great. I can't, for the life, I don't understand the Travis Scott thing at all. He's so goddamn, like, fruity and just... If he was like, yeah, I'm a gay guy, then it wouldn't bother me nearly as much. But the fact that he's supposed to not be a gay guy, he's supposed to be like that guy, it's just weird to me. Why don't you embrace the gay guy that you are and let all those other gay kids know it's okay? Travis Scott is terrible. I was so shocked. This is what happened to me originally with 6ix9ine. I saw this... I was at the gas station, and I saw this Source. The Source was on the magazine stand, and it was, the 15 up-and-coming rappers or some shit like that. And it was all, like, it caught my eye because 6ix9ine is this, he's like an island, right? Surrounded by all these carbon copy black faces, blackface, blackface, black faces. He's right in the middle, and he's this light-skinned guy with rainbow hair. And I was like, wow, that dude in the middle must be by far the best of the group, because he, like, for you to rock rainbow hair and look like that much of an idiot, I hope your skill set overrides that, right? And so I went and it wasn't that day. I didn't even know who the guy was, so I didn't know who to look up. But later on, I saw, this was when he started making headlines and shit before, about going to prison for fucking with kids. I was just curious, and I went to look him up, and there's so much, it's so manufactured. You look at 6ix9ine a year before he became famous, and he doesn't have any tattoos and shit. Well, where the fuck did he get all the money to pay for those tattoos? Tattoos aren't cheap. I see so many of these. As a big fat black guy, the problem is not your diabetes. It's you being a big fat ass. God, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They give us these excuses. Well, it's the diabetes. No, it's you being a big fucking fat ass. So I look up 6ix9ine, and at the time, Gummo was his biggest song. And again, I'm expecting that for this goofy clown to be so famous, he must be lyrically insane. And then you hit the play, and it's like, Blicky with the stick, you got the blicky black, and you're like, what the fuck? All he does is, and granted, I'll say that as far as rapping goes, 6ix9ine's better than fucking Travis Scott. And 6ix9ine's terrible. 6ix9ine was a woman, I'm convinced. Many moves he did in his music videos were very few. Why would he be a woman? The thing that people don't understand is that if you're a boy who was raised in a single parent household, and that single parent was your mom, and maybe you had a couple of sisters around you, or maybe you didn't, your mannerisms and shit are going to be feminine. I know mine were. Until I started noticing things. You emulate who you see subconsciously. And if all you do is hang out with females all the time, you're going to have feminine mannerisms. It's just what it is. Now, that dude's fucked up. The thing about me that you always hear in these stories is like, the girl lied about her age. Well, would she lie and tell you she was 18? Because there's no fucking way you thought she was like 26. And if I had, it's the same thing with Tupac. This is what I always used to say about Tupac. If I was Tupac, I would have used my incredible fame. Like, there would have been a wake of famous broads in my history. You would have heard about Guy Pac. He'd have banged everyone he could have back in those days. All the famous broads that are just so hot, you're like, how the fuck are you this hot? And Tupac doesn't have any. Tupac has Jada and that girl from Friday, I believe. So I guess I'm feminine. I acknowledge that. That was my exact situation. Better than being overly overly masculine is the worst. That I always struggled with it growing up. I struggled with, what I was told was a man was a guy who, lifted weights and got mad and like thought women should not say anything, and chased cars and had naked picture. Like the idea of a hot chick in a bikini leaning up against a nice car on a like that's the dumbest calendar I can imagine. Why the fuck would I give a shit about that?
If you like cars and you like chicks, you're gonna like them together.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, I like cars. Cars are cool. I think cool cars are cool. But do I need a calendar with a bra bikini like leaning up against a car in a totally unnatural sort of? It's just stupid. And then on the extreme end of that, when I was little, we used to find porno all the time. I lived in this apartment complex, now called the Crossings at Canton. Back then it was called Honeytree. And at the time, it was one of the biggest apartment complexes like around, maybe in the country. I don't know. But it was huge, and it had like for most of the complex, there was only one giant trash compactor that everyone would use. Like the extremes, the furthest away people would have mini trash cans, I guess, that they could throw shit in. But for the most part, everyone used the big compactor. And when we were kids, we used to go dumpster diving all the time. All the fucking time. Like, it's crazy to think how different my life was compared to my kids. But I was latchkey. Who was going to tell me not to? Right? It was crazy. But we used to find, like at least once a month, once a week, some woman would find her husband's stack of porno and throw it out. And we would find, like, to me, it was always great to find the Playboy, because the Playboys, I thought they were like elegant. They were pretty. They looked beautiful. You'd start to see like Hustler and Barely Legal and shit. And the Hustler would be like, the girl would be like squatting over with her pussy lips all hanging out, or like leaning back with their, like, so raunchy. And I used to think, like, I don't need to see what the I don't care about the inside of your pussy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need you to pull it all apart so I can look all in it and shit. Like, but that was so prominent that I'd be like, what's wrong with me? Is like, am I gay? I don't like this shit. Am I gay? Does that make me gay that I don't like this shit? Yeah, I love me some titties. I love women, but I just, like, it's just as weird as if, my girl was like, let me see your penis hole, and would, like, pull it apart for me. Here, pull it apart and look sexy while you're pulling it apart. Like, ugh, what the fuck's wrong with you? Oh, suck up and treat people like shit, basically. Yeah, that's what men are told. We're supposed to not cry. We're supposed to not be emotional. Men don't talk about their feelings. How many comedians have you seen say that? Men don't talk about their feelings. I used to hate that shit. But, like, this is all J programming bullshit. When you look at all of it, all of the narratives we're given, especially when it comes to that kind of shit. Like, we are it's all just J programming. They know they know what they're doing. They put all that raunchy nastiness out there to separate us. It's fucking crazy. And so when it comes to guys like 6ix9ine, I mean, at this point, it almost seems like if I know who you are, you've probably done some shit you're embarrassed of. And this is the Israeli like narrative. This is what they do. This is the Israeli blueprint. This is what Epstein Island and all the Epstein houses and shit were all about. And that's what COVID was for. COVID was to cover it all up. My perspective hasn't changed. I told you from the beginning, COVID was to cover up Epstein and the Israel connection and how it all fits together. And it's starting to come out, and I'm happy to see that, I guess, but it's such a small number of people that realize it. Like, people don't understand Trump and Epstein were charged. We're actually charged with. There are court papers showing that Trump is the defendant. He's been charged in the case of raping a 13-year-old girl. And it the trial was in 2020, June or something of 2020, wasn't it? Wasn't it June, or it was June or earlier? But it was like they saw it coming, and the poor forgotten Jews. This woman is, I guarantee this woman's dead. Oh, she's out fighting. Oh, look at that. Her hands. Oh, she's crying. Oh, she's so upset. Hopefully she gets a yellow pepper. Look at this woman. I love these women that they show, these busted ass looking women, but then you look at their hands. Oh, there's the peppers. The hands aren't all scarred up and scabbed up and shit. Oh, look, she has a busted nail for a change. And why is Mike Huckabee doing this? Oh, this is so stupid. Now, this same commercial, this is the worst conditions imaginable. Doesn't look like Gaza. Gaza looks like the worst conditions imaginable. This is Nina. Can't afford food. She needs to eat. She survived years. Does she look like she's starving? Look at her double chin and shit. Look how fat she is. Oh, now she's gonna cry. Oh, she is crying over a bag of couscous. Ayana Markovich. Nina. She is the worst. She is the worst. Rabbi Eckstein. Look at how, did these people look like they're starving? Do you know what starving people look like? Starving people, you don't have to know they're starving. Nobody has to tell you. You look at them and go, oh my God, you look like you need a sandwich. You'd look at Angela and you'd be like, that bitch needs a sandwich. But this is that bullshit that they, just more of their fake J narrative bullshit. The same commercials were used prior to prior to the Ukraine. So first it was the forgotten Russian Holocaust survivors, and then it would, like, they just changed the narrative, the writing on the commercial, or you could tell, like, they'll add an overlay of some words or something like that to change the destination, the setting of where it is. Why is it the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews only seems to focus on old Jews? I never ever see anything where they're like, all the fucking Christians who are poor and living in squalor and barely surviving and shit. You never hear about them, those people. It's only the poor, forgotten Jews. It's fucking stupid. And Mike Huckabee, he'll fucking say anything for $1. You can see multiple different commercials being shown right now, like at this time, where you have a Mike Huckabee that has a fucking brown beard, brown hair, and white hair. They're showing commercials with like Mike Huckabee from maybe 10 years ago and shit. But what I was originally talking about with this is the gay stuff, how they use the gay stuff to absolutely distract. Like I would be willing to bet you that May of this year is going to be like such a deadly, deadly time for the people of Gaza. And maybe Lebanon, maybe Syria, whatever it may be. But Passover happens in May, usually. And Passover is when they love to spill blood. Let's look it up. Let's look up what Passover is. Shall we? Passover, according to Wiki. Now, is circumcision going to come up in this? Put them on. They're right in front of you. So stupid. She needs glasses, but she won't wear them because they make her feel old. But then she struggles.
Oh, they're just in the ass. They're not easy to look at. You turn your head, you get dizzy because of the bifocal.
What? Passover. Pilgrimage of the Passing Over is a major Jewish holiday and one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals. It celebrates the exodus of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, where, of course, they walked around the desert for 40 years. Why is that an acceptable story? Seriously. If anything doesn't tell you that it's all bullshit, shouldn't it be the claim that a group of Jays of all people were walking around the desert for 40 years? Can you imagine the complaining? Oh, it's so hot. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, my feet hurt. Where are we going? When are we going to be there? I need a mikvah. What's your opinion on Palestine, Israel? Israel is shit. Everything Israel sucks. Everything Jay sucks, and we need to remove it as soon as possible. Actually, I think we should. My presidential campaign of 2028. I'm running for president in 2028. By the way, is that cult is kicked out of this country. There are no. This will be just another country that they've been kicked out of in the past 100 years. 1,001 countries they'll be kicked out of. Or wait, 100 countries in the past. There'll be 101 countries in the past 1,000 years. Because I believe that we should give them what they want. If you want to be a J, if you want to be a part of that cult, we're going to give you Israel. We're going to bring all the Palestinians out. Sorry, guys. You're going to lose out on this one. But I have a feeling you'll get your land back. Do you be same as MAGA if you run for president? Do you be same as MAGA? America was never great. Trump is an absolute total piece of shit puppet. Just distraction bullshit. But let's continue. Celebrates the exodus from slavery of the Israelites from ancient Egypt that followed the 10 plagues beginning of the 49 days of counting of the Omar connected to barley harvest. I mean, isn't it interesting how much stuff used to happen here in the world, in the earth, back when God was like a big part of things? Now none of this shit happens. According to the book of Exodus, God commanded Moses to tell the Israelites to slaughter. Isn't it again weird how, like, when you think about those stories of Moses and all that other shit, they're almost like historical narratives the way they're taught to us. And like everybody knows about Moses parting the Red Sea and this, that, and the other. But you don't realize that he's a J. This is all J bullshit. It's all just more of the lies. Commanded Moses to tell the Israelites to slaughter a lamb and mark their door frames with its blood, in addition to instructions for consuming the lamb that night. Because they're sick. They're fucking sick people. Crazy, you were still crying while I've been doom scrolling and enjoying life. Who? Like, you think that this is about you? I guess if you're a fucking J pedo, then yeah, go. We are talking about you, but pretty amazing that you could be that stupid. Because now remember, like, think about this. So imagine some old man suddenly like, hey, you guys, God spoke to me. And he told me that we need to all slaughter lambs, put the blood on the door frames around our house, and then eat that lamb tonight. How many of you would believe it? How did all the people from back in the day convince other people that God spoke to them? It pretty much seems like they would just come out of wherever they were and be like, hey, yeah, I had a conversation with God again. And everybody be like, oh, really? What'd he say? God said that all the land that I can see belongs to me, and all the people in that land are now mine. Well, God doesn't speak to me, so yeah, okay, everybody, we are now Moses' slaves. For that night, God would send the angel of death to bring about the 10th plague, in which he would smite all the firstborn in Egypt. Why would God do that? So much of your Bible is God being a fucking crazy asshole. Why does anyone want to believe in such insanity? God's going to smite all of the firstborn children in Egypt? And does that mean all the firstborn adults? If you were the firstborn in your family, are you getting smited as well? But when the angel saw the blood on the Israelites' door frames, he would pass over their homes so that the plague should not enter, hence the name. That's what they're celebrating. The story is part of the broader Exodus narrative in which Israelites, while living in Egypt, are enslaved en masse by the Pharaoh to suppress them. When the Pharaoh refuses God's demand to let them go. Like, Jesus Christ, this is so stupid. So, God of the universe also speaks to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh's like, nah, I don't believe you, God. That's why Christianity turned a blind eye to the Old Testament. No, the reason why Christianity turns a blind eye to the Old Testament is because they're told to. There doesn't need to be a reason. I mean, as ridiculous as the New Testament is, the Old Testament is fucking even silly. So I just think they realize, like, this isn't gonna work. Ew. I mean, like, this is the kind of stuff where you try to, like, talk to Christians about it, and they're just stupid. Like, they're smart enough to know that if they look into it too much, they won't be able to believe it. And I guess they want to believe it so much that they're willing to overlook shit. But it's just so stupid. The Pharaoh refuses God's demand to let them go. God sends 10 plagues upon the earth. After the 10th plague, Pharaoh permits the Israelites to leave. You know, it would be one thing if this was just more, silly biblical stuff, whatever. But understand that there are people that are committing genocide right now. There are people that deem themselves superior to the rest of us because of this bullshit here. This is the bullshit in which they use to justify their insanity. Scholars widely believe that the origins of Passover predate the biblical Exodus, with theories suggesting it evolved from earlier semi-nomadic pre-Israelite rituals and was later transformed through religious and cultic traditions. Cultic, huh? Gosh, that's weird. The story is recounted at the Passover Seder by reading the Haggadah. Haggadah? The Haggadah is a standardized ritual account of the Exodus story in fulfillment of the command, and thou shalt tell Haggadah, thy son in that day, saying, it is because of that which the Lord did for me when I came forth out of Egypt. Wow, is that fucking stupid. See, this is one of those stories where I would just love to have a religious scholar, especially like a rabbi, just any J supporter. I would love to hear what you think. Sounds like they are all referencing the Nag Hammadi. I don't know what that is, and honestly, I don't care. When it comes to historical shit, the Winners Write the History has really, I'm very skeptical on all of it anymore. Pesach, P-E-S-A-C-H, starts on the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan, which is considered the first month of the Hebrew year. The rabbinical J calendar is adjusted to align with the solar calendar in such a way that 15 Nisan, always coincides with Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. 4 out of the 7 days? That's fucking silly. I mean, all but three of the days. The Hebrew day starts and ends at sunset, so the holiday starts at sunset the day before. For example, In 2024, 15 Nissan coincided with Tuesday, April 23rd. Therefore, Pesach started at sundown on Monday, April 22nd. Oh, some book I just remembered the name. Some spiritual shit. That's all. Yeah, all the spiritual stuff is just more distraction. And it's all so similar, and it's all just so stupid, and it's how they work. We should be looking up April Fool's Day because, you know, it's April Fool's. I wish today they would have let me have a normal view count, and I could have been like, oh shit, looks like my feed is back up and running. And then it'd have been like, April Fool's. That would have been a good one. What do you think? Like, seriously, can you imagine somebody coming in here and trying to argue, debate, whatever, trying to we could have the conversation regarding the Exodus and how the fuck anyone survived, hang on a second, 40 years in the desert. We're going to talk about the Exodus today. I'm so glad we went down this path today. Ugh. Woo-ha. All right. Okay. Etymology. I don't really care about the etymology. Let's see. Well, biblical Hebrew is rendered as Tiberian.
Pesach.
And modern Hebrew, the first mention in the Torah's account of the Exodus, and there is some debate about its exact meaning. Isn't that weird how when it comes to the Jays, that's sort of how all of it works? There's some debate. The commonly held assumption is that means he passed over in reference to God passing over or skipping the houses of the Hebrews during the final of the 10 plagues of Egypt, stems from the translation provided in the Septuagint. The Targum Onkelos, written in Babylonian Aramaic, translate Pesach. Yeah, see, I don't care. Pesach may also refer to lamb or goat, which is designed or is designated as the Passover sacrifice. You know, because those Jays really like killing shit. So much of their stuff involves killing. Gotta love how they cleanse themselves every year by transferring their sins onto a chicken or some animal, goat, whatever, and then killing it, torturing it and killing it every year. It's fucking insane. 4 days before the Exodus, the Hebrews were commanded to set aside a lamb and inspect it daily for blemishes. What happens if they find a blemish? Do they then have to start over? Like, do you know how stupid it is? And we're talking about a lamb, the Israelites. How many Israelites were there? Gotta love it. Looks like my feed is getting messed with. Because that's normal. That's just what happens. You'd think if you were Jay, you'd know that your narrative is so watertight, so good and perfect in the way it's written and presented that you'd want someone like me to go and read about it so that I could understand. And then I would be able to give you the Semitism that you demand. You know, you'd think it would be that way. You'd think if it is true, then if you read about it, you would be like, oh yeah, no doubt, this has to be true. I always tell you to look stuff up. You know, read about this or read about that, because I believe if you educate yourself, you'll have more clarity. You'll see things. You know, if you go look up Team Jorge, you'll understand who actually censors and controls social media. If you look up Operation Cast Thy Bread, then you understand that the Jays are the type of people who will poison a drinking water system. You know, as long as it gives them an advantage, they'll do it. If you look up the Samson option, like, I'm sure that you'll understand that, you know, these Jay doctrines, the Hannibal doctrine, and all these other things, like, especially in a medium I'm telling you to look it up on, like, this is the official account. This is what they want us to know, how they want us to think. So, I just don't understand what it is. But let's keep going. Expected for blemishes. During the day on the 14th Nisan, they were to slaughter the animal and use its blood to mark their lintels and doorposts. Before midnight on the 15th of Nisan, they were to consume the lamb. I mean, it's a lamb. We're not talking about a lot. Here, let's leave some nonsense here. If Trump was able to run for a third term and then allowed Obama to run for a third term, would you vote for Obama?
Oh my gosh.
I swear.
Coming out that the people who attended Diddy freak out parties will soon.
Some Diddy people.
These are just some of the names.
You're right.
Oh my
exactly.
God, look at the people on this list. Oh my God. Is that not the
Steve Stout?
list?
Russell Simmons? Eve? Let's count the blacks.
Right.
Eve, Aaron Hall, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rick Ross, Steve J, Dr. Dre, Usher, Meek Mill, Drake, LeBron James, The Game, Justin Bieber, Lil Rod, Cuba Gooding Jr., Stevie J, Usher, we already got Usher in here, Young Miami, Daphne Joy, Bishop T. Jakes, Chris Brown, Jade Ramey, J-Lo, Aaliyah, and Little Bow Wow.
At like 90% black?
90% black.
Fucking bullshit. Yeah, that's just part of the list.
Clive Davis isn't on there. And Clive Davis is who, like, the majority of it's about. Clive Davis is the man behind Diddy in more ways than one. But hey, you know what? Let's focus on Trump and presidential elections. That's like saying if we tax 30 million illegal immigrants working for fucking pennies, picking food, that's more important than us stopping giving Israel at the very least the guaranteed $3.8 billion a year. Like, you're either distracted or you're distracted. No, unless you're talking about one specific thing. I mean, understand, for close to a decade now, I've been almost solely focused on the Jays, Israel, that whole thing. And just about everyone, my wife included, told me, hey, it's not fair of you to just focus on this one group. And I stood by my fucking guns. I said, no, man, this is what needs to be focused on. This is the head of the monster. And over the last few years, especially, true. Caught on yet. We have to do that today.
What? I know.
The English term Passover is first known to be recorded in English language in William Tyndale's translation of the Bible, later appearing in the KJV as well, King James Version. It is a literal translation of the Hebrew term. In the King James Version, Exodus 12:23 reads, "For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you." My man, think 30 million isn't a problem, and that his problem is more valuable. We can't just agree it's all a problem. Yeah, I think your problem is the distraction. I can't believe you're this. At least you're finally realizing, like, you're not winning. Because a couple of days ago you were like, no, that's what's important. That I shouldn't be focused on these bigger picture things. I should be focused on the small stuff. All right. Origins and theories. The Passover ritual is a mitzvah commanded by Torah rather than rabbinic origin. The Passover ritual is thought by modern scholars to have its origins in the apotropaic. Apotropaic. There you go. Apotropaic rite unrelated to the Exodus to ensure the protection of a family home, a rite conducted wholly within a clan. Izov was employed to daub the blood of a slaughtered sheep on the lintels and doorposts to ensure that demonic forces could not enter the home. That is so gross and weird. Barley harvest plus Exodus narrative. A further hypothesis maintains that once the priestly code was promulgated, what a weird word, promulgated, the Exodus narrative took on a central function as the apotropaic, what was it? Apotropaic rite was arguably amalgamated amalgamated with the Canaanite agricultural festival of spring, which was a ceremony of unleavened bread.
You know they use all those big words to confuse you, right?
Of course. Of course. They use these words that most people don't fucking know.
On purpose.
Just in case you happen to be smart enough to try to look into it. Connected with the Barley Fest. As the Exodus motif grew, the original function and symbolism of these double origins was lost. Several motifs replicate the features associated with the Akitu Spring Festival of ancient Mesopotamian religion, which celebrates the sowing of barley. Scholars John Van Seters, Judah Siegel, and Tamara Prosick disagree with the merged two festival hypothesis. In the book of Exodus, the Israelites were enslaved in ancient Egypt. Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, appears to Moses in a burning bush and commands Moses to confront the Pharaoh. Can you imagine this? I was looking at this bush; it was on fire. How did it get on fire? We don't talk about that. But you know how God would like appear to people through the God phone? They build the altar, and then they could talk to God. Well, this time God was like, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna be a burning bush today. Fucking A.
I mean, trees spontaneously combust. That's just what they do, so.
Can you imagine some old man telling you that God commanded him to do this? Reconnecting. Then
Sirius Black spoke to Harry Potter through the fireplace.
It's true. I mean, there's all sorts of biblical symbolism in those movies.
No.
But
all sorts of paganism in Christianity.
Biblical symbolism all throughout. You know, they love using the biblical motifs. They do it all the time. And you know, the idea of paganism and all that stuff is just as foolish as the rest. That's the thing you have to be able to do. Most people can't. You have to be able to apply the exact same scrutiny and logical thinking to the thing that you believe, that you subscribe, or that you prescribe, or you use against everything else. You know, if you can sit there and scrutinize the Bible, scrutinize the Quran, scrutinize this and that, but then somebody asks you about your thing and you go, no. So what do you guys think is happening right now? Right? What do you guys think is happening that, like, where am I going? I'm staying within the little 10-foot space that you guys always talk shit about. So do you think I'm like walking, there's like a cell phone, 2 towers, my house just goes in between 2 towers, and I keep crossing over that line and it has to reconnect? Why do you think my feed here in the suburbs of Detroit, where we're surrounded by cell phone towers, it's flat everywhere, I'm in the 2nd story of a house, like, why would my feed have such a hard time maintaining connection? So you're also, while you are also agreeing that 30 million is at least a small problem. Oh my God. No, I don't care. I can't tell you how much I don't care about that. And your desperation for me to agree with you really says a lot about how much how highly you think of me. Just silly. Yep. Manipulation doesn't work on me. Nice try. Nice try, Diddy. You guys need to check out our new song. Nice try, Diddy. It's fucking great. Nice try, Diddy. Funny how that shit's everywhere. Nice try, Clive Davis. That's not everywhere.
Go let the puppy out real quick.
Don't know which puppy you're talking about.
Jordy.
Oh, okay, whatever.
I put it back. He's not there.
Tell boyfriend I said hi. Yahweh, the God appears Moses' bush and commands Moses to confront the Pharaoh to show his power. Yahweh inflicts a series of 10 plagues on the Egyptians, culminating in the plague of death of the firstborn. What an asshole. Like, seriously, all God would have to do to show his power would be like appear as an energy fucking ball or something in front of everybody. I am the Lord. Hear what I have to say. Clearly, no technology of this day can do this, so you know I'm real. Like, that's all you'd have to do. You wouldn't have to kill everybody. Moses said, thus says, I guess, Yahweh, toward midnight I will go forth among the Egyptians, and every male firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sits on his throne, to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the millstones, and all the firstborn of cattle. And there shall be a loud cry in all the land of Egypt, such as never been or will ever be again. Kidding, but people believe this shit. This is Exodus 11:4-6. Before this final plague, Yahweh commands Moses to tell the Israelites to mark a lamb's blood above their doors, so God will pass over them, and the plague of the death of the firstborn will not afflict them. How does God know it's lamb's blood? And why would God need any? It's God. Why would God need you to show him? Shouldn't God just know whose houses are whose? This is that old God that Adam could hide from, right? Adam and Eve in the hiding from God because they put clothes on and they knew he'd be mad about it. Isn't it funny how, as always, it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. Belch. The same trolls are here with the same dumbass, they don't like me, but they can't address what's being said opinions. Isn't that fucking strange? Like, look at the dumb troll comments, desperately trying to get us to stop talking about these things. They don't want us talking about this shit because the more you know, the dumber it's going to be. And you're going to be like, why the fuck? Why do we give these people so much Semitism? Why do we give them what they demand? I just don't understand your brain. Right. Because it's too smart. I get it. You're like trying to, you can't even solve a regular Rubik's Cube, and I've handed you a 100 by 100 cube and told you to solve it. You're not going to. Before the final blah blah. The biblical regulations for the observance of the festival require that all leavening be disposed of before the beginning of the 15th of Nisan, according to Exodus 13:7. An unblemished lamb or goat known as the Passover sacrifice or Paschal lamb is to be set apart on 10th Nisan. This is the dumbest shit, man. This is the dumbest shit. It's embarrassing. You know, your average fucking Christian, they don't know this. They don't know the narrative. They believe the narrative, but they don't know it. And slaughtered at dusk as 14th Nisan ends in preparation for the 15th of Nisan, when it will be eaten after being roasted. The literal meaning of the Hebrew is between the two evenings. It is then to be eaten that night, 15th Nisan, roasted without the removal of its internal organs. Ew! Oh, that's so fucking gross. It's to be roasted without the removal of its shit fucking trails and shit. Like, ew! If you cook that thing whole without removing its organs, all the shit and all the toxic nonsense is going to bubble up and like disperse throughout. You're going to be eating the nastiest of nasties. You know, the shit's going to boil in ugh, that is so gross. Without the removal of its organs, with unleavened bread known as matzah and bitter herbs known as maror. Nothing of the sacrifice on which the sun rises by morning of the 15th Nisan may be eaten, but must be burned in a holocaust. They just won't say it. Right? The burning of giving God the sacrificial burnt offering is called a holocaust. It's a J word. It comes from their fucking etymology, which is strange to think it would immediately be named that. The Holocaust. It's a burnt offering. Don't you think that's weird? I highly suggest you go watch Hollywoodism and check out the part about the Holocaust and see the narrative that they tell you as to why Hollywood didn't really touch that subject until after the fact. Almost like they didn't know the narrative yet, so they didn't spell it. They didn't spill the beans. The only two movies were made during the time that dealt with it, and both were made by Goyim. The Jays did nothing. The Jays, who exploit every single thing, who have exploited that situation ever since and will continue to as long as we let them, at the time, they refused to exploit it. The narrative is so blatantly obvious, and it's crazy that, you know, that we've been programmed to be stupid enough to argue with each other about it. To believe that we're not allowed to question it. We're not. The information is clearly there. It's not like it's even hidden. Although they did remove, you know, Wikipedia has been changed. I can attest to somebody editing the Team Jorge page to hide the, you know, the real size of it, the you know, hide the true scale of how big Team Jorge is. And it's funny because it was only edited shortly after I started really pointing out that Facebook brags all the time about removing bot farm profiles from everyone else. They'll brag about they removed 800 bot farm profiles from the Philippines, 1,000 bot file profiles from China. That's all of China. Team Jorge the one individual Israeli Black Ops organization had 30 to 40,000 bot profiles at their disposal. Just that one group. There are many Israeli Black Ops organizations doing cyber stuff. But just this one group had 30 to 40,000, and you can't find an article talking about Facebook eliminating fake Israeli pages. Why do you think that is? Why do you think Facebook is Israeli blue and white? It's so obvious what's going on. It's so obvious. I just struggle with what the fuck is wrong with you. What's wrong with you, Goyim? Look at how big that chick's face is. Her face is so big. We would all be robots if all agreed on everything. Well, nobody's saying we all have to think vanilla is better than chocolate or vice versa. Look at this. Look at this weird sheep programming. That not only do you feel like you have to say something in opposition, but that was the best you could come up with. And you literally thought that that was going to be one of those things where it was like, oh, well, you know what? That's actually a good point, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. It's amazing how they do that. Or how they've done that to us. And we just willingly do it. We go, oh, yeah, I'm a sheep, let's be sheep together. Come on. You're fucking weird. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my kids. I like lots of things. But my love is sacred. And I don't just throw that word around like everybody else does. I hate how people throw that word around and just devalue it. If you tell everybody and everything you love them, then what do you tell your family that's special? Fucking stupid, man. That's some Todd Church bullshit there. That fucking weirdo meth head pedophile. The biblical regulations, blah, blah, of the original Passover at the time of the Exodus only also include how the meat was to be eaten. Your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it hurriedly. It is a Passover offering to, I assume that's Yahweh. I'm not really sure. It's in Hebrew. Like, it's fucking crazy, right? It's crazy how it's like these things go together. Look at the comments. Look at the stupidity in the comments. And then look at the narrative. And you wonder, like, you could totally see how connected it is. The biblical requirements of slaying the Paschal lamb in the individual homes of the Hebrews and smearing the blood of the lamb on their doorways was celebrated in Egypt. However, once Israel was in the wilderness and the tabernacle was in operation, a change was made to those two original. No longer, therefore, could blood be smeared on the doorways. What a weird bunch of shit, man. What a weird ass cult. Like, you would think I'm just reading you like obscure stuff. These are the old traditions, and like my wife always hides behind that one. Okay? Well, not all of them practice this, and a lot of this stuff is that old obscure stuff that's just no. This is Passover. This is the big shit here. Called the Festival of Unleavened Bread in the Hebrew Bible. The commandment to keep Passover is recorded in the book of Leviticus. In the first month, On the 14th day of the month at dusk is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. Let's eat a huge feast of unleavened bread. In the first day ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no manner of servile work. And ye shall bring an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. In the 7th day is the holy convocation. Ye shall do no manner of servile work. It's interesting how that their stuff, plays out. They're not supposed to do any work. The sacrifices may be performed only in a specific place prescribed by God. For Judaism, this is Jerusalem. So, all of you out here celebrating Passover outside of Jerusalem, guess that doesn't matter much, does it? The biblical commandments concerning the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread stress the importance of remembering. Exodus 12:14 commands about God sparing of the firstborn from the 10th plague. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord. Throughout your generations ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Exodus 13:3 represents the command to remember. Remember this day in which you came out of Egypt, out of the houses of bondage, for by strength the hand of the Lord brought you out from this place. Oh, this is fucking awful. Deuteronomy 16:12. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes. Again, why would a God want you to do that? That sounds like some man-made bullshit to me. That you need to remember me, and you need to, you need to stop, you need to pray to me, you need to give thanks, you need, what? Why would the God require this of us? Of them. In 2 Kings 23:21 through 23 and 2 Chronicles 35:1-19, 23:21-23, I'm not sure. King Josiah of Judah restores the celebration of Passover to a standard not seen since the days of the judges or the days of the prophet Samuel. Ezra 6:19-21 records the celebration of the Passover by the Jays who had returned from exile in Babylon after the temple had been rebuilt. They didn't rebuild the temple, though? How did they even know? They were in exile. How did they know the temple had been rebuilt? God phone. Must have been the God phone. Some of these details cannot be corroborated and to some extent amplified in extra-biblical sources. The removal or sealing up of the leaven, is referred to in the Eliphanite, Papria, and Ostraka in an Imperial Aramaic papyrus letter from the 5th century BCE, of course, from -5 from Elephantine, Egypt. slaughter of the lambs on the 14th is mentioned in Jubilees, a Jake from the Ptolemaic period, and by the Herodian era writers Josephus and Philo. These sources also indicate that between the two evenings was taken to mean the afternoon. What? Jubilees states the sacrifice was eaten that night, and together with Josephus states that nothing of the sacrifice was allowed to remain until morning. Philo states that the banquet included hymns and prayers. The main entity in Passover, according to Judaism, is the sacrificial lamb. During the existence of the tabernacle and later the temple of Jerusalem, the focus of the Passover festival was the Passover sacrifice, also known as the Paschal lamb, eaten during the Passover Seder on the 15th of Nisan. Every family large enough to completely consume a young lamb or wild goat was required to offer one for sacrifice at the J temple on the afternoon of the 14th day of Nisan. So who decided how big the family was? Like what happened if you had it was like you and your wife? You didn't have to do it? You didn't have to partake in Passover? That seems weird. Any family large enough to consume a small lamb, a young lamb or wild goat. I mean, that's still a lot. Especially to eat it all in one day. So they say one of the important aspects of it is the sacrificial lamb is roasted with all of the organs still inside. Do you understand how disgusting that is? The poop sacks, the poop lines, first the oil from the heat, and it's pancreas and all these other, poisonous things that are inside.
I'm sure they do.
Do they have
They have a liver.
I mean,
they have an endocrine system. They have kidneys.
Right. All that shit's gonna boil before the blood. I mean, I guess they would probably bleed it first, because they like to bleed things. But just think about how utterly disgusting that is. To cook an animal, to roast an animal. I mean, I guess it would be on the spit, so it would be turning around with the poop sack and the intestine. And especially considering it's the Jays who are like, ew. It's weird that in this one thing they buck all their fucking previous shit. If the family was too small to finish eating the entire offering in one sitting, an offering was made for a group of families. The sacrifice could not be offered with anything leavened and had to be roasted without its head, feet, or inner organs being removed and eaten together with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Just think about how goofy that is. So God is like, okay, what can I do? All right, you guys have to eat something. Like, doesn't that sound like some like sadistic Big Brother shit? Like, oh, you want to be a part of the club? Well, what are you willing to eat? They like, think about how just like all-knowing, all-powerful, all-everything God. This is all his idea. Its idea. I just thought of something. Bernie Taupin is the guy that wrote all of Elton John's songs. Elton John couldn't write a song to save his life. But there's that song where he's like, and the child better leave on, and he better shall be a good man. He shall leave on. Maybe that's what they meant, leave on. And you gotta leave on the head and leave on the feet. That is fucking weird. That is some weirdo shit, man. One had to be careful not to break any bones from the offering, and none of the meat could be left over by morning. So they literally had to eat everything. Who decides what everybody eats? Like, you know, the popular people are like, no, leg. Give me the leg. I'm the leg. Now you can give the fucking
I want the front leg.
intestines. Yeah, you can leave the intestines for the, you know. For what chosen gets they give it to the retarded ones or something?
Well, okay, but see, in some cultures, the different organs are the sacred part, like the.
Sure. Not them. Not them. And you know, not all of the organs. Like there are organs that if the container ruptures, I don't even know. I said it was weird that we have an appendix that has enough poison in it to kill us out of our bodies. And yet, if this small little membrane ruptures, then we die from it. Like our bodies created the poison inside of it. How did we create a poison inside of us that doesn't kill us unless it ruptures? Like, that is some really weird shit. Some really weird shit. I guess the comments must be shut down, huh? Well, I'm going to finish reading this, and then we'll see what happens. Because of the Passover sacrifice's status as a sacred offering, the only people allowed to eat it were those who had the obligation to bring the offering. Among those who could not offer or eat the Passover lamb were an apostate, a servant, an uncircumcised man, a person in a state of ritual impurity, ritual impurity, except when a majority of Jays are in, and a Gentile. Oh my God. So, what the fuck is ritual impurity except when a majority of the Jays are in the same state? Then it's okay. In 1582, Pope Gregory changed the New Year date from April 1st to January 1st. Some people ignored the change and kept on April 1st. They were called fools, and this led to the tradition of April Fool's Day. So they say. So we aren't allowed to partake in this festival. We aren't allowed to eat the sacrificial lamb. The offering had to be made before a quorum of 30 is the minimum number of members of a group necessary to constitute the group at a meeting. In a deliberative assembly, a body that of that group. In contrast, a plenum is a meeting of the full or rarely nearly full body. A body or a meeting or vote of it is a quorum if a quorum is present or cast valid votes. Okay. In the temple, the Levites sang Hallel while the priests performed the sacrificial service. Men and women were equally obligated regarding the offering. Today, in the absence of the temple, when no sacrifices are offered or eaten, The mitzvah of the sacrifice is memorialized in the Seder Korban Pesach, a set of scriptural and rabbinical passages dealing with the Passover sacrifice, customarily recited after the Mincha afternoon prayer service on the 14th of Nisan, and in the form of the Zeroah, a symbolic food placed on the Passover Seder plate but not eaten, which is usually a roasted shank bone or a chicken wing or neck. The eating of the afikoman substitutes for the eating of the sacrifice at the end of the Seder meal. Minsha Pesachim 119a. Many Sephardic Jays have the custom of eating lamb or goat meat during the Seder in memory of the sacrifice. This is nuts. This is nuts. And okay, so when did the afikoman, what is afikoman? Afikoman, based on Greek, meaning to that which comes after or dessert. A word originally having a connotation of refreshments eaten after the meal is now almost strictly associated with the half piece of matzo, which is broken in two during the early stages of the Passover Seder and set aside to be eaten as a dessert after the meal. Based on the Mishnah in Pesachim 119b, the afikoman is a substitute for the Passover sacrifice, which was the last thing eaten at the Passover meal during the eras of the first and second temples and during the period of the tabernacle. The Talmud states that it is forbidden to have any other food after the afikoman, so that the taste of the matzo that was eaten after the meal remains in the participant's mouth. Since the destruction of the temple and the discontinuation of the Korban Pesach, Jews eat a piece of matzo, now known as afikomen, to finish the Passover Seder meal. Customs around the afikoman vary, though they often share the common purpose of keeping children awake and alert during the Seder until the afikoman is eaten. Following Ashkenazi customs, the head of the household may hide the afikoman for the children to find, or alternatively, the children may steal the afikoman and ransom it back. Shabbat tradition discourages stealing the afikoman, lest it lead to bad habits. Following Mizrahi customs, the afikoman may be tied in a sling to a child's back for the duration of the Seder. So it really does beg the question then, how important is it if all of them have different customs? Like drastically different customs. And how did all of them separate like that? And then who decided that? Who was like, okay, well, we're going to do it this way. And then, every little detail we'll figure out. Like, it's really, really dumb. All right, let's reset.